All right, everyone, here we go with information on using a couple of online databases to dig up information about institutions. The first I'm going to address is the Carnegie Classification Institution of Institutions of Higher Education, also known as the Carnegie Classification System. This particular database is housed at Indiana University. Currently, it's moved around a little bit. And when I assign the institutional types, it's going to be based on the basic listing here from Carnegie. So I'm going to show you where to click to find some information. And this database actually draws from IPEDS, which is the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System. And so that's going to be the other database that I address in this video. So first, let's click on listings. And you see standard listings and custom listings. And I'm going to click on standard listings, and you'll see these classifications at the bottom here. And you see basic classification, undergraduate instructional program, graduate instructional program, enrollment profile, undergraduate profile, and size and setting. So as I said a moment ago, I'm assigning your institutions the institutional types based on basic classification. And so when I click on that, hopefully it does something, you'll see that it pops up this list. And it goes from what would be considered the highest level based on degree offering to the lowest level, which would be associates, and then below associates are special focus and tribal colleges. So I'm going to be assigning an institutional type to each of you based on this listing of basic classification. And your task will be to click on one of these and then select an institution. So I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick tribal colleges because I'm not going to assign tribal colleges because one of the things that we need to do is hopefully find an institution with very robust information in terms of strategic plans. And that can be challenging with the tribal colleges. These are often smaller institutions, and one of the things that we find is that really small institutions sometimes don't always have as robust information on their websites as the larger institutions might. So let's say I'm just going to pick Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. So when I click on it, you're going to see that there's some information that comes up, and we see it's a 4-year institution. It is public and has a student population of 808 students. And then we see the various classification types listed here. Each of these can be important for you to note as you start writing about the institution and sharing information about it in your assignments throughout this summer. So let's say I see that information. I would then do a Google search for Haskell Indian Nations University, or I might go to IPEDS and look up the institution. So I'm going to bring up IPEDS, and again, IPEDS is an acronym which stands for the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System. So when you click on the link that's in Canvas for IPEDS, you are brought to this page. What you're going to want to do is hover over Menu, and then go to Data Tools, and then if you hover on Downloads, Microdata, Raw Data, it brings up this menu, and you will click on the IPEDS Data Center. When you click on the IPEDS Data Center, you're brought to this screen, and you see the first option is look up an institution. And just leave everything as is, including use final release data. And when you start typing in a name, you'll get any matches, and you'll see there's only one match for Haskell, and that is Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. So I click on that, and it'll start loading the information about Haskell. And you see here there are these plus signs, and this expands each of these lines. So maybe I want to find out something about institution characteristics. and you see that there's a lot of the same information that was on the Carnegie site, but more. And so, as I said, the Carnegie website actually pulls its information from IPEDS. So when institutional research offices at colleges and universities are reporting information about their institution, and so this is something that we talked about in ADM 735, we talked about reporting to the feds. They're actually loading information into IPEDS, which is part of the National Center for Education Statistics, which is part of the Federal Department of Education. And so one of the things that you'll see is that you'll get the URL for the main institutional webpage. And so if we click on haskell.edu, we can see their webpage. And if we go to About, this is where I would look to try to find information about their strategic plan. This would be my first place I would look. So maybe part of their vision statement. No, that's a single sentence. Well, what about institutional values and their code? Okay, that's good information to have. I don't see anything about their strategic plan, but what about accreditation? So we see that they are accredited as part of the Higher Learning Commission and the North Central Association of Colleges and Schools. Okay, so that's good to know. Here's information. They obviously have a teacher education program, so they have information about NCATE, but I don't see anything here about a strategic plan. And so I'm making a pretty quick assessment about whether or not I would really want to use Haskell for my assignments in this course, because I'm not finding anything about a strategic plan anyplace really quickly. So if I go back to the main homepage, again, I don't see anything. Maybe if I go to Office of the President, I don't see anything about a strategic plan. So I actually would not use Haskell for this assignment because I'm not finding information quickly. And so what I recommend is that after you receive your institutional type, you go through the list from Carnegie. And so here we are again back at the Carnegie website. If we go back to listings and standard, and we expand the list for basic, and you click on and your assignments, the institutional type I assigned is going to be very specific to the exact wording as one of these. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out, okay, he said master's colleges, which one do I pick? I will be very specific: master's colleges, universities, medium programs, or small programs, whatever one it is, I'll be very specific. So I would click on whichever one I've been assigned, choose an institution, and one things that I want to avoid, I'm going to restrict anyone from using Murray State University, because we use Murray State as an example in plenty of our courses, and probably also avoid, I'm going to ask you to follow the honor system because I don't remember everyone's educational background. Don't choose an institution that you've either attended or worked at. I want to make sure that you're spreading yourself out a little bit here and exploring an institution about which you don't have as much familiarity through direct experience. So that may sound a little harsh. That's just something that I think is valuable. So if I were doing this, I would not choose any of the institutions that I've earned degrees from or any institutions that I've worked at. So that knocks out a group of institutions from a couple of different categories for me. As you work on this, or as you're looking at your listing, if you have questions, let me know. This video is going to go up, and then within a couple minutes of that, you will see, I'll send each of you an individual message with your type, institutional type.